Here's a little update with the 4runner. My gauges. Main switch box. Every wire has been replaced in here. I've run new wiring. That was the biggest problem with what I've had, or what the problems were with the other stuff. But actually, that's kind of like the ignition. It's got a push button start on it. This one right here is for the alternator. Until I turn this on with the vehicle running, the alternator will not charge. I actually did that way, one, because Toyota is a pain in the butt and they have to have 12 volt signal to fire the alternator. Two, I was thinking about water crossings. You know, when I've gone through water in my rock crawler, that alternator would be squealing the belch, you know, when it was under a load. I figure if I, you know, shut the truck off and then start it back up and don't fire up the alternator, you know, do what I need to do, and then once it dries out a bit, fire it up to charge it up. I think the battery's going bad. It's got a red top. It's been running and showing 12.3. Usually when I turn it on after it sits for a few days, it shows like 11.5. I actually believe that to be right because it's not enough to fire up the LEDs. But yeah, I've got the I guess the ignition, I've got the alternator, I've got the fan, obviously wipers, headlights, and blower motor, which is not hooked up yet. I've got everything wired underneath the dash. Even all these grounds, no body grounds here. Everything's grounded to that block, which is grounded to the battery itself. Started putting in the seats. I'm doing second gen seats in here. It's because it's what I've got. The seats that were in here were so far rusted out, you would sit in them, they would just collapse. The frames were all shot on them. I do have the lift done on it. I went with a 3-inch lift in the front with new springs. It came with a helper spring in the back, which re-arched the wore out factory springs, but it wasn't nearly enough. I added an extra 3-inch lift blocks on it. The wheels are different. These are actually Chevy wheels. These are second gen 4runner. And I think that they had those on my second gen, maybe for clearance issues, because the back spacing is a little bit off. The second gen would rub front or back. You know, obviously the stance is like 3 inches wider on a second gen. So I got to run 2-inch spacers back here. Not ideal, but it spaces the tires out equally. Overall, I think it sits pretty good. I've got the first coat of rubber back here. This thing was completely rusted out. I don't think I showed it on my first video, but I actually went through and fiberglassed all the holes. I mean, pretty much all this area right in here was gone. The same on the other side. All this along here was rotted out. Into that wheel well around in there was all rotted out. So I got everything fiberglassed, and that first coat of, what is it, Flex Seal liquid. I like this stuff. I've actually used it on campers' roofs, you know, and had pretty good luck out of it. I started to do it in here back when I first got it, and didn't care for it because it stained. I had some stuff in here, you know, rust shrapnel, I guess. It actually stained it, but I love the feel on it, especially when you're barefooted. It's got a real smooth, rubbery feel. Well, pressure washing it, which I didn't prep this very good, but pressure washing it, it blew it all completely off. It actually, in the directions, and of course now I see this, says do not apply direct pressure with pressure washer. All the stuff came really clean. For the most part, I was really happy with it, but like I say, with it peeling off, I wanted to spray the undercoating on it, see how I like that, and it did not stick to any of this. Also thinking about the undercoating, you can just scrape it off with your nail. I'm going to clean all this off and actually do the whole floor in the Flex Seal. You know, I really like it, and I think with a little bit of prep work, which, you know, was minimal on this, it would do really good. Engine bay's coming together. I've still got to actually heat shrink all my heat shrink over here at the battery. got to put some sort of main fuse block. I haven't decided exactly what I'm going to do with that. I have actually driven it on the road, maybe, I don't know, 30 or 40 miles an hour. It's kind of rattly, but it doesn't have the shocks on it yet. You know, the tires have been sitting for who knows how long. That back glass will actually slide into this rail I'm in the process of putting on and make it a flip up top. I hate vehicles with windows in the tailgate. I don't like them on any of them. Thing about this, I have modified that hinge so that window will completely slide out if I want to take it out. A lot left to do on that, but I think the end result will be great. Plus it'll seal and cover up, you know, all the rust. Like I say, this whole 4runner is just completely rusted out, 100%. Which is fine, because for what I'm using it for, you know, trail riding, piddling around like that, and it'll do fine for what I want it to do. I'm actually going to put this water tank out of a camper in between the wheel wells and have a pump in there. On the side, underneath that side window, I'm going to have the water fill and have an outdoor shower. You know, I don't know what they say you need to have as far as water per person, a gallon a day or something like that, but well, me and my son both are very water wasteful, I guess. You know, I'm real sure, hell, I use several gallons just to put out the fire when we're done, just to be sure it's done. But it'd be nice to have that, especially when it's hot outside. If it's hot and sweaty, you know, kind of give you just a quick hose down, kind of clean up. I think that tank is 30 gallons, if I'm not mistaken. That's a lot of water, and the most that will go out, you know, 2 nights at the most. So that will be plenty. And like I say, it'll fit right there. And what I'll do when I put this in here, I'm going to have a fake bottom, you know, that'll come down to right here or so, wherever the top of the tank is. That way I can put stuff behind it and close the tailgate. Figure out some way to lock that so it is indeed halfway lockable. You know, I don't want to park this thing at Walmart, top off, come out and have all my stuff gone. It's something I'm thinking about, how I'm going to secure all that stuff. You know, there's some things I definitely want to carry, and a lot of stuff I don't want to take out. I want this to be like a winter recovery vehicle, per se. You know, out here in the country, people get stuck all the time, and it'd be nice to be able to winch somebody out if need be. I've got this winch right here, which is a Ramsey, which I don't know if the winch is ungodly heavy or if it is the actual, you know, winch bar that's heavy, but the whole thing's really bad heavy. Thing about this is it doesn't have a free spool on it, which I find very weird. I need to do some research. Maybe electronically with the switch it free spools, I'm not for sure. But the crawler has these hitch receivers here. You got 2 on the back and you got 2 on the front. I actually am going to probably try to cut this whole front end off. The headlight hoops I'm not going to use, but you know, cut them off right here, grind that smooth, and use the pipe from there down. This will go to the front of the frame. It's the same setup on this, you know, Toyota frame, so it'll work. It should fit pretty much directly up. And I will have the front mounts if I ever go to 63-inch springs on the front. But the winch I had that goes for this mounts to the 2 hitches, front and back. Originally, the original owner had it set up to where he could, you know, flip it front and back. I've almost got half of mine to mount that one on the front and put this one here on the back and run dual winches. I don't know, I haven't gotten that far yet. But like I say, this week I should have all the lights done on it, enough to where I can take this bad boy out in town. I really want to drive it and see how it does, you know, get to messing with it, because it's not trustworthy right now. I plan on trailering it to all the, you know, trails and stuff down in Red River Gorge and Daniel Boone National Forest, but I'd like to at least trust it enough to know that it's trail worthy. If I can get all that done by this winter, I'll be super, you know, stoked, excited. I'd like to have a 4-wheel drive if need be. My truck is not, but the wife's is, so at least we have one, but I would like to have something myself. I had originally planned on running the 529s and 37-inch tires, but I don't know if I'm going to. I really like these 33s. I think maybe a 488 gear and a 35 would be perfectly ideal, but I don't want to spend the money on them. I'd like to, you know, sell the gears or trade out of the rock crawler for this. But like I said, I just wanted to give you a little update of what I had going on with it. I'm not very good at doing the videos. I'm kind of, once I get to working, I like to work. You know, I don't like to stop and film and do all that stuff. But at least like this, you can kind of see the process I'm going, maybe get a couple ideas. If you have any questions on how I've done anything, let me know. You know, I will maybe do a second video dedicated just to that one aspect of it. You know, something I'm not trying to get a bunch done, you know, quickly. But thank you for watching, and stay tuned for the next update.